Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, tonight, I think you're going to like tonight's. Personally, I really do, because it shows a crack in the Democratic wall that has been focused on gun control for so long. Now, one of the things that we've covered in a bunch of videos, and it's pretty much been a theme for the past couple months, has been the left puts everyone in a bucket. They look at everything in a collective. They do not look at everyone as an individual. And that's a big difference, and we've covered that. We've talked about that a lot. However, it's starting to show cracks because in order to do that, they have to have all the groups that make up their coalitions be in lockstep and in unison. But we're starting to see cracks in that unison, particularly around gun control. Now, this is what we're going to talk about. It's an article from the Wall Street Journal tonight, which really highlights really well what we're going to be discussing and how this New York case, the Supreme Court New York case, is actually working and bringing more and more allies to the court than we would have thought possible, particularly from the progressive left, because the policies in question disproportionately affect minorities. And that is where the democratic ideals conflict. Right? You can't have no guns, but then you can't have individual minority groups being more singled out because of your laws. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's linked in the description box below. Let me know what you think, and I really want to hear your comments, because I think this is the beginning of the iceberg, and this is going to be something. But let's dive in, and then I'm going to highlight it here for you, what the things that stood out to me anyway. So the article that we're pulling from is from the Wall Street Journal. It's Progressive Gun Control Crack-Up. Defense lawyers ask Supreme Court to affirm gun rights. Okay, that was kind of lackluster, but the meat is where it really gets spicy. All right, so for the elite left, opposition to gun rights is in part a cultural statement of antipathy to red state values. It's left versus right. Yet a small but important part of the progressive coalition, criminal defense lawyers, can't afford to treat gun laws as one more culture war bludgeon. So basically, it can't just be a culture war thing. There's real life implications. This is not just right and left. This is actually affecting real people, which is what we talk about on this channel. Okay, because every American has a given right to access the Second Amendment and exercise their rights to defend themselves, but also defend themselves against tyranny. That's crucial. Doesn't matter what you look like. Depends where you were born. Are you an American citizen? Or you've been nationalized. But that's the point. If you're a citizen, you have this right. You can't take it. You can't impede upon it. Okay, or infringe upon it. Now, here is where it starts to get awesome. Hence, a remarkable amicus brief by a coalition of defense lawyers for the indigent. All right, amicus brief, friend of the court. They sent this to the Supreme Court, okay? Led by the Black Attorneys of Legal Aid, asking the Supreme Court to expand gun rights in the Second Amendment case it will decide next term. That's the New York case. Okay, I'm going to walk through that in a second. But this is a special interest group that targets African American support and defense on the legal aid front, asking to enhance Second Amendment support, the Supreme Court. This is huge, okay? Now, here's the case. If you haven't caught up with this and don't know what I'm talking about, here's a brief description, but also why they're doing this. The case concerned New York State's stringent gun restrictions. The plaintiffs in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin say New York all but prohibits ordinary adults from obtaining a license to bring a firearm outside their home or business, even if they fear for their safety, complete training courses, and have a clean background. They want the Supreme Court to affirm that the Constitution protects that right. Which it does. For every American, doesn't matter what you look like or your background. The point is you're an American, you have access to these amazing rights that people have died their blood, sweat, and tears for. That's the whole point of this channel. That's the whole point of our movement. But I digress. Let's keep going. Yet the brief from the criminal defense lawyers, which includes the Bronx Defenders and the Brooklyn Defender Services, this is in New York, argues against the state's gun laws from a progressive position. In 2020, while black people made up 18% of New York's population, they accounted for 78% of the state's felony gun possession cases. So what they're saying, they're arguing against a progressive policy on guns with a progressive policy for African Americans. We're starting to see infighting. Look even further. Eric Adams, mayor of New York next term, he's going after handguns. He's saying it was a mistake to go after rifles. Over there on the left coast, you've got not only banned assault weapons, air quotes, they're now freaking finding people for exercising their Second Amendment rights, which is going to go to court as well. There's starting to be infighting. You've got it's disjointed at the federal level. The ATF nominee is in trouble. You've got New York and Los Angeles doing completely different things, and meanwhile, Chicago is just ablaze. This is something that is not good for democratic unity around gun control. I think it's driving a wedge. That's what we're talking about here. And specifically, talk about a disproportionate ratio of these progressive laws affecting minorities. 18% of New York's population is accounting for 78% of the state felony gun possession. Interesting. Interesting how it's eating itself. And this is how the article wraps up, and I think it's a really good way to wrap this up. America's gentry progressives figure that gun control should unite their base. Going back to the base, going back to the coalition. Don't only rural conservatives have guns anyway? Yet more may be realizing the contradiction between gun control cultural politics and the less new criminal justice priorities. A fissure on gun politics could be coming, and I think the author of this article is dead right. You've got the farthest left of the party and the Democrats fighting the moderate wing of the party. Some are saying we should do this, some we shouldn't do this, and it's costing them votes because in progressive areas they're going too far, and in what they want to be progressive areas, we really don't know what we're doing, and it's affecting minorities more, which is another progressive point. There are cracks in the wall, there are cracks in the armor, and guys, we are doing right. Keep going. That's my message for you tonight. Stay unified, keep pouring it on, and we will defend the blessings of the Second Amendment. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and until tomorrow, I'm Braden. See you later.